we've got to talk about a rhino today that honestly said something that's pretty crazy. Because if one of us had said that, we'd be getting paid a visit. Okay? If one of us said what this congressperson said, we'd be getting at our front doors. And that person is Dan Crenshaw. Yeah, I'm sure you guys know who Dan Crenshaw is. I've spoken about this guy before on this channel. The congressman with the eye patch is who I'm speaking about, and I'll play a clip for you guys here in a second of Dan Crenshaw and what he said. But, you know, I've never been a fan of Dan Crenshaw. You guys can let me know whether you're a fan of Dan Crenshaw, why or why not. Talk to me, please. But I feel like for the most part, Republicans aren't. So it's just like crazy that this guy is elected. It's pretty wild, especially out of a red state like Texas. Why do we keep electing folks like this? Like it's pretty crazy. John Cornyn as well, out of Texas. Anyway, I'm going to play this clip of what Dan Crenshaw had to say about Tucker Carlson, and we'll get into this a little bit more. Let's dive in.
I met Tucker.
We've talked a lot. If I ever meet him, I'll finally tell him. He's the worst person.
I met Tucker.
We've talked a lot. If I ever meet him, I'll finally tell him.
Yeah. If I ever meet him, I will effing kill him. If I ever meet Tucker Carlson, Tucker, a guy that we all like, right? A guy that most of us completely agree with. Tucker Carlson. Dan Crenshaw said if he ever met him, he would kill him. That's a pretty wild statement. You know, that sounds pretty serious to me. I mean, if you're willing to say something like that sounds pretty serious. That sounds like a very serious threat. But yeah, that is just wild. Absolutely wild to say. And, pretty disgusting if you ask me. Actually, I think we got a live look at Dan Crenshaw. Hold on. I think he's on X. Wait. I'm sorry, I had to. If you didn't get it, Dan Crenshaw's a rhino and he has an eye patch. Yeah, so I had to. I had no choice. Okay. That one was just like the easiest lob dunk, ever right there. But this is Dan Crenshaw's district. So if you live in this area, bro, what are you doing? What is your problem? I just need to know. Like, how is Dan Crenshaw convincing people to support this man? Let me know. If you live in this area, talk to me, please. I will listen and I won't judge. Okay? I promise. I will listen and I won't judge. Talk to me. How is he convincing folks to support this man? But of course, he hates Tucker because Tucker has continually called him out. I'm going to play a couple of videos of Tucker doing just that.
Dan Crenshaw cannot be a congressman again. You just can't. It's just too insulting.
Why is it that Republican states tend to have the least sincere Republican? Dan Crenshaw, apparently still a member of Congress.
And the next time Dan Crenshaw stands up and says, but you don't understand the threat, shut up, Dan Crenshaw. Just about had it with you.
Neocon Congressman Dan Crenshaw, the Nikki Haley of Texas.
The single most left-wing member of Congress I've ever met personally is a Republican from this area who has no interest in the United States whatsoever and does not even pretend. I'm not going to name names. Yeah, it's Dan Crenshaw, the most liberal, most left-wing person I've ever met.
And so they're easily bullshitted by the posturing jackasses in Washington.
That's why Dan Crenshaw has a job.
You, Dan Crenshaw, you're the one whose own children languished and died while you focused on the neighbor's kids. That person is an enemy of everything that you voted for.
Yeah, so that was just a little short clip. Here are some other clips of Tucker Carlson going after Dan Crenshaw, and I believe rightfully so. Once again, like I said, I'm not a fan of Dan Crenshaw, and I've talked about him here on this channel as well before.
What's going on here exactly? Why are these people so upset? Well, part of it, of course, is political. Dan Crenshaw is a committed neoliberal. He's a tool of his donors. He's hawkish on Ukraine's borders, but indifferent to ours. And Dan Crenshaw knows that Kevin McCarthy is the least conservative speaker he is likely to get ever. And they all think that. What's going on?
I mean, where did Tucker lie right there? You know, where did he lie? I didn't hear a lie there. I'm just saying. You know, I'm just saying. I feel like the criticism is, or he's worthy of some criticism.
Why is it that Republican states tend to have the least sincere Republican? Like Dan Crenshaw, apparently still a member of Congress from the state of Texas, who is zero interest in the U.S. border. All his interest is in the Ukrainian border, the Gaza border. You know, how does a guy like that get elected in a supposedly Republican state?
Facts. Listen, I want to know the same question. You know, I want to know the answer to that same question. And, you know, that's why I asked. I'm genuinely curious how we keep electing folks like that. Now, I understand in a place like Maine, when we have a senator like Susan Collins, okay, a state that is typically liberal, typically left, I kind of get it, right, with Susan Collins, but Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, you got Dan Crenshaw in Texas, John Cornyn, Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. Like, how do we keep having these types of folks? I'm just wondering. I'm wondering. Like, what? Once again, this is a genuine question, a very genuine question. So if you live in these areas and you've seen this type of stuff, let me know. I'm genuinely curious. Like, what type of ads are these people showing? What type of rallies are they having? What are they saying in person? I'm sure they're saying something completely different than what they're actually doing in Washington. How has somebody like Mitch McConnell convinced people to keep sending him back to Washington? Now, obviously, he's retiring now, but how has he convinced Kentuckians to continue to do that? How has Dan Crenshaw convinced Texans to do that? Same thing with John Cornyn. How has he convinced Texans to keep sending him back to Washington? Same thing with Lisa Murkowski. Alaskans. How has she convinced y'all to keep sending her back to Washington? Like, what are they doing, saying, showing? What is happening? Are they rigging the system somehow, some kind of way? Talk to me, please.
So, I mean, Dan Crenshaw obviously is not emotionally prepared to lead anything, and you know, he's out of control. And I think that he's a really volatile person. I hope he gets help. I mean that. And but you know, he's also a pretty sinister person, I would say, whose priorities are not aligned with his party's voters, but also have kind of nothing to do with the United States. So
right.
I object. I mean, want to be honest. I feel sorry for Dan Crenshaw. I've had conflict with Dan Crenshaw. I felt like he was emotionally out of control, and so I feel sorry for him. But I also think it's not just him. It's a lot of the leadership of that party just doesn't put the United States first at all. And you know, they all want to suck up to Trump and America first. Really, where's the money going? It's not going here. It's going to the countries whose lobbies control you.
Right.
You know, that's
Yeah. A lot of them like to say, yeah, we rock with Trump, America first, baby. But in reality, they're sending money to other countries. Why is that? A lot of them like to say, yeah, Trump, America first. We have a mandate. But then when Trump tells them, hey, these are the guys that I want, they go out and vote against them. Lisa Murkowski. Like, I just want to know. I just want to know. How does this happen? Y'all talk to me, please. We got to get folks like Dan Crenshaw, Lisa Murkowski, amongst others. If we can get Susan Collins. I feel like Susan Collins is going to be the most difficult one, simply because it's the state of Maine. Not going to be impossible, but it's going to be difficult. Because, of course, it's a left-leaning state, so she has to be somewhat left-leaning. So I feel like that's going to be difficult. But Lisa Murkowski, like, come on, bro. It's Alaska. It's a red state. We should be able to get somebody else other than Lisa Murkowski. John Cornyn in Texas. Why can't he be replaced? Same thing with Dan Crenshaw in Texas. Why can't he easily be replaced? Lindsey Graham. What the fuck is he doing there still? Excuse my language, but like, seriously. Like, what's happening? We got to clean house and get some true America First Republicans in there. Not people that just do a bunch of yip yap and jaw jack. I mean, people that are actually serious about completing the mission of America First. But maybe I'm some type of idiot. I don't know. You know, I'm just a guy that makes videos on the internet from time to time. So y'all talk to me, please. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.